Background of supply 2. The firm makes many decisions to achieve its main objective, profit maximization. To maximize profit, the monitoring of cost is essential to achieve this main objective. And in this video we'll have a look at the distinction between total cost, the average cost, and the marginal cost. A firm's total cost is the cost of all resources used, total fixed cost and the total variable cost. And total cost equals the sum of these two. A firm's average cost is the cost of all resources used per unit. The average total cost is the total cost divided by the quantity produced, represented by Q. Let's have a look at the schedule below. At the total output of 2, we can see that the total costs are 750. The fixed cost are 500 and the variable costs are 250. So the average total costs are 750 divided by 2 equals 375. As the company hires one more worker at 250, the variable cost increased to 500. The fixed costs stay the same. The company now produces 5 units of output. Given the total cost of 1,000, the average cost falls to 200. Why do the average costs initially fall, but increase as production increases? And here is an important assumption. We assume that the company cannot increase its capacity in the short run. In other words, its production capacity is fixed. And in this sense, the marginal costs play an important role. The marginal cost is the increase in total cost resulting from an increase in input by 1 unit. Let's have a look at an example. As you can see, again the example of 1 employee versus 2 employees. We see that the average costs go from 375 to 200. But please notice that by adding 1 more worker, the total output increases by 3, whereas the total cost only increased by 250. That means that the marginal cost of producing 1 more unit of output is 250 divided by 3, which is 83. If we look at 5 to 6 employees, we notice that the increase in output is only 1, whereas the cost increased by 250. That means that the marginal costs are 250. In other words, if the company hires 5 employees and wants to increase its output by 1, it will have to hire another worker. That 1 worker costs 250, and that means that the marginal cost is also 250. So depending on the sales price of the product, the company will decide whether or not to hire this extra employee. Here's an overview up to 6 employees. You can see that total output is increasing, but more effectively at a lower number of employees than, for example, from 5 to 6. The fixed costs don't change as capacity is equal. The variable cost increased by the number of workers that are being paid 250. You can see the cost and the average total cost, and in the last column the marginal cost. Please have a look at what happens to the average total cost in relationship to the marginal cost. The average costs keep falling from 375 to 200 to 139 etc., as long as the marginal costs are below the average total cost. As soon as the marginal costs exceed the average cost of that moment, so for example, at 5 workers, the average cost is 125, as well as the marginal cost. But going from 5 to 6 workers, the marginal costs are 250, which leads to an increase in the average total cost. As firms aim to maximize their profit, they're aiming to minimize their cost. Firms are therefore looking for the lowest average cost per unit, and they will therefore increase production as long as the marginal costs are below the average cost per unit.